I'm saying as it's been presented, the work is going to be within their frontage. Based on the exhibit...
Their frontage, meaning whose?
The Toll Brothers, the south side. Based on the exhibits they provided, which are, as Greg noted, because this is a land development preliminary nature, there is a significant amount of cut and fill to get these driveways to connect to West Pleasant Grove Road, and some of the site distances are at the minimum tolerances. At this point, I would not say for certainty that there may not be additional work within West Pleasant Grove Road beyond what's being presented. And as such, I can't comment on whether it would have to extend to the north side of the road or a larger area.
Were you the township engineer when Westtown started speaking of having a connector road?
I was not. I believe that was included in the growth management plan that preceded my tenure by a couple of years.
Are you familiar with the reasoning behind having a connector road was only for emergencies when 202 was closed for any such reason?
My understanding was that part of the basis of this was that at the time it was developed, the PennDOT widening plan was anticipating closing the intersection of West Pleasant Grove Road and 202. And this would in some way provide access for people on the west side that they would have lost once PennDOT closed that as part of the 6-lane project that is now shelved.
I saw that in your testimony. Thank you. That's all I have for tonight.
Thank you. Ms. Camp, any redirect for Mr. Federico?
Yes, I have a few questions. Do you prefer the internal road profile as depicted on the alternate plan, Exhibit A76?
Yes.
Mr. Edelman asked you on cross-examination whether Toll or the Township could force the Westminster Church to close the existing driveway to West Pleasant Grove, and you had responded no. However, you recommended that applicant should grant the necessary easement to the church to allow the connection from the church parking lot into the connector road in a more appropriate location that avoids motorists having to make 2 quick left turns. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that would be still your recommendation to the board to request that of Toll?
Yes, it is.
Did Nicole Klein opine in her traffic impact study that traffic calming was not necessary on West Pleasant Grove Road?
Yes.
Have the plans that were submitted in August of 2019 that are marked Exhibit A65, have those been revised to incorporate the traffic calming that was depicted and proposed in Exhibit A57?
Not to my knowledge.
Mr. Edelman suggested that the roundabout would confuse drivers so much so that they would avoid using this as a bypass road. Do you share this concern?
No.
In your opinion, can a full roundabout be designed at the intersection of the connector road and West Pleasant Grove, which would not cause motorists to avoid using the connector road?
Yes.
Is it your experience that drivers become familiar and comfortable with navigating around a roundabout?
Yes, they do.
In the testimony that I had asked you, you referred to the FHA publication. I don't think you knew what the actual identification of that publication is. Have you since been able to find that reference?
Yes, that was FHWA document SA 1000 on mini roundabouts.
And you explained tonight in response to one of the questions that you believe that that publication sort of superseded the PennDOT publication 414. Is that accurate?
No, that's actually a different FHWA publication. Publication 672 superseded.
Okay, so just so everyone's clear.
FHWA 672 superseded PennDOT publication 14. The document I was just referencing was specifically the mini roundabouts.
Okay. And I guess one of the questions tonight was, which law would supersede? I mean, Westtown Township's zoning ordinance and subdivision ordinance don't have regulations with respect to roundabouts. Is that correct?
Yes.
So if the board were to suggest or follow the planning commission's recommendation to require the applicant to implement a roundabout, you would be looking to those publications as sort of guiding documents for how they should be designed?
Yes.
Okay. Did Mr. Seaman indicate at the February 11th, 2020 PennDOT scoping meeting that toll would provide pedestrian connectivity to the intersection of Route 202 and 926?
Yes, he did.
And does the alternate plan provide this connection as suggested?
Yes.
I have nothing further.
Great, thank you, Mr. Federico. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as we discussed at the outset of the hearing, the purpose of tonight's proceeding was to complete Mr. Federico's testimony and to provide notice to all of the unrepresented parties of your obligation to be prepared to proceed at the upcoming April 21st and May 26th hearings. I'm going to reinforce what we've said, that the April 21st start time is at 6 p.m. We're going to start with Thornbury Township that evening. It's my understanding they have 3 witnesses to present. But let me confirm a couple other things before we conclude tonight. Mr. Thompson, I just want to confirm for the record that Neighbors for Crebilly does not intend to put on a case. Is that correct?
That's correct. Well, just to clarify, Mr. McKenna, we have a case. You had indicated that the record from the previous proceeding was being incorporated. I think that was done at the initiation of this hearing, and we intend to rely on the evidence that we had presented during the earlier conditional use proceeding, but we do not intend on presenting any additional witnesses or evidence.
Thank you. I do appreciate the clarification, and I agree with your statement.
So we have a case, but we don't have any additional evidence that we are requesting to present at this time.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Crawford, would you like to confirm also that's the same position, I believe, as Birmingham Township? Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. Reserving to submit a statement or memorandum at the end of the proceedings.
Understood.
But not evidence.
Thank you. And then finally, Ms. Labram, I just want to confirm that you intend to proceed with your case at the April 21st hearing. Is that correct for Thornbury Township?
Yes. We have one expert witness and 2 others. It should be very short.
Okay. So at the conclusion of Thornbury Township's case, and after everyone's had the opportunity to ask questions that evening, we will move down our list similarly that we did this evening. So I will ask any of the unrepresented parties if you have any statements. You'd be sworn in and subject to cross-examination, and you're allowed to make a statement. You're allowed to have your own witnesses. You're allowed to offer documents. I would ask if you intend to offer documents. We'd like to have them marked ahead of time, so I'd ask you to please get in contact with Mr. Altschul from the township, or Mila Robinson, or myself, so that we can have them marked and put on the township's website and made available to all the parties, as we have done with Toll's exhibits and the Planning Commission's exhibits, and what I expect will be Thornbury Township's exhibits as well. Feel free to reach out. We're happy to help to accommodate to get that done, but you don't have to say anything if called upon, but this will be your one and only opportunity to do so. So please be prepared. You may not get reached on April 21st. I don't know. It really depends upon how long Thornbury Township's case will take, but please be prepared to start that evening, and then most certainly, if not reached on the 21st of April, I expect you would be reached at the hearing on May 26th. So before we conclude, is there anything further from Mr. Edelman for tonight?
Yes, Mr. McKenna, to the extent that the other parties' cases actually are much greatly shortened than anticipated. Toll will be prepared to put on its rebuttal witnesses also at the next hearing.
Understood, and I appreciate that efficiency.
You're welcome.
Anything further from the board this evening?
No, Pat.
All right, so we will stand in continuance until 6 p.m. on April 21st. Again, please note that's an earlier start time, 6 p.m. on April 21st. We'll go off the record.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mila.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good night.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.